Hello and welcome back to Business Weekly. Last week we had a look at the automotive industry and specifically at My Cars Services and Parts. This week we're diving into a very different industry, the coffee industry. To say that a coffee in Australia is huge is an understatement. Australians love their coffee and it's estimated that the industry earns around $5.8 billion each year. Cafes and coffee shops make up around $350 million of that revenue, and this week we're heading to Mount Gravatt to check out one of my favourite cafes. We are now here in Mount Gravatt at this cool little coffee shop called Senzo's Cafe and Bar. Vince Dixon, the owner, started this little cafe back in late 2010 as a simple hole in the wall up the street. But 2 years ago, when this property came on the market, he moved his cafe into this set location. The cafe is located on this quiet street along this small shopping centre, which means that unfortunately the parking is very limited in the area, which is a minor weakness of the business. A quieter street also means that unfortunately there's less foot and car traffic. However, there is a small pet grooming shop and a fitness gym, which attracts a fair bit of foot traffic by itself. If we then have a look at the general map of the area, we can see that the cafe is located on Lumley Street here in Mount Gravatt, which is around 15 minutes from the CBD. And while we are having a look at the map, let's take a look at also the competitors in the area. Senzo's is located to both Garden City and also in the Mount Gravatt Esplanade area, where several competitors are located. And in terms of Senzo's three biggest competitors, these are Beanout, Blacksmiths and Cafe Inn. All three of these coffee shops are privately owned and offer specially made coffee for both dine-in and takeaway in the near vicinity. There is also a coffee club located nearby. However, because of the recent push in the coffee market away from the big franchisee coffee clubs and opting rather for the personable, smaller cafes where they're able to have that relationship between the barista and the customer, and therefore the coffee club is not a very big competitor of Senzo's because of those different experiences. In regards to pricing, when we have a look at the price of a cappuccino at all four cafes, Blacksmiths and Senzo's comes out as the most affordable, charging around $4 for a regular coffee, whereas both Beanout and Cafe Inn charge around $4.20 for a regular cappuccino. If we then have a look at the Eggs Benedict on their breakfast menu for all four cafes, we can see that Blacksmiths comes out at the cheapest, offering an Eggs Benedict for around $15. All three other cafes, including Senzo's, charges around $18 for their Eggs Benedict. This means that Senzo's prices itself at around the mid-range in terms of the competitors in the area, although the serving size and the quality of the food at Senzo's, in my opinion, is a lot better, which means that the cafe has really good value for money. This is also then reflected in the majority of the reviews for the cafe. Senzo's trading hours are 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. from Sunday to Thursday, and then on Fridays and Saturdays, the cafe stays open later from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. The 6 a.m. morning start means that, along with Blacksmith, Senzo's is the first cafe in the area to open up, which is a great strength in the business model as it allows the cafe to target a larger demographic of people, especially those heading to school and work early in the morning before 7 a.m. when the other cafes open. Senzo is also very unique. In terms of marketing, Senzo's mainly utilizes their social platforms on both Instagram and Facebook, where they have accumulated over 1,200 followers on both platforms respectively. They predominantly use boosted posts and target anyone within a 5-kilometer range, and Vince has said that this has been super effective for their business. Their marketing is another of their strengths, and one of their very successful media promotions is their Dogs of Senzo's promotions, where they take photos of all the dogs that come into the cafe, and they have a feed on Instagram for them, which has generated quite a following. If we now have a look at the human resource management of the business, a couple of things I have picked up from spending some time at the cafe is that all the staff here are honestly really nice and they want to help you. They offer a great customer experience, and in the meeting with Vince, I asked him how he manages to keep his staff happy and working hard. And he said that the key to HR is relationship. By building a positive relationship with your staff and showing interest in them, he says has allowed him to maintain a great work environment for his staff, which they love. Another strength in Senzo's HR management is actually the fact that Vince runs his primary business during the week and therefore is unable to be here every day to run the business. And I know this may sound like a weakness, but it has meant that the staff here have adopted a lot more responsibility and an independence, and therefore are much more invested in the success of the business, which reflects in their customer service and their work ethic. In terms of the actual aesthetic of the cafe, the inside is decorated really well and has a really nice feel to it. The furniture is fitting and the environment created inside the cafe is another strength of the business. The outside, however, is probably the only major weakness of the cafe, and although the inside is done up really well, not much has been done on the outside to help continue that environment and that feel from the inside out onto the curbside. The only other weakness in the business is its size. The cafe is small and cozy and works really well for breakfast and a coffee, but because of the restricted space on the inside, lunches and dinners can become quite cramped, which takes away from that experience a little bit. The business itself actually doesn't have a lot of foreseeable threats, mainly due to the fact that the coffee industry is quite a recession-proof and robust industry. This is due to the fact that coffee is all about relationships. The business itself actually doesn't have a lot of foreseeable risks, and this is mainly due to the fact that the coffee industry is quite a recession-proof and robust industry. This is due to the fact that coffee is all about the experience and the energy boost, and so even when money is low, customers are much more likely to spend their $4 on a coffee to get that caffeine hit and to have that time in their day to spend chatting to their barista and to read through the newspaper to distract themselves from their daily lives, rather than going out and spending $20 on dinner. The only real foreseeable risk is damage from natural disasters, or potentially in the new future a personalized coffee delivery service or something like that that may take away a bit of the market for brick and mortar cafes. Overall, I believe this cafe has done a really good job, and because of their great business model, awesome HR, and great customer experience, I believe that this business will remain feasible well into the future. A couple of recommendations I would make though would be 1, to renovate the front of the cafe to ensure that that feel of the cafe extends out into the outdoor settings, as well as also to potentially draw in some more foot and car traffic by presenting an aesthetically pleasing and unique shopfront. 2, in the future to look at expanding the interior size of the cafe to create more space inside, especially for lunches and dinner, to improve that customer experience. And finally, I would recommend that because of the more secluded location of the cafe, that they should invest in some more form of signage from the main roads nearby to direct more traffic towards the cafe. Well, that's it for me today, and thanks again for joining us. If you liked the video and you'd like to support the channel, please leave a like and subscribe. If you have any suggestions for businesses to study, drop them down in the comments, and otherwise see you guys next week. Out.